Hello and welcome back to Everybody Loves Raiken, our 5th edition live play podcast that meets every Tuesday night. Last week, the party concluded, or mostly concluded, its battle against the strange insectoid creatures that were hiding in a hole beneath the wagon after helping to get the wagon up out of said hole. They also found themselves attacked by redcaps, a type of fey creature that starts its life cycle as a mushroom. And then some sort of emissary, a person, a fey, clearly, claiming to be sent by a fey master, came to collect the party for said master. Now, the two people, Jebel and Cyrus, who were topside when this person showed up, expressed disinterest in going with this creature to meet its master, and Jebel turned him into a crab. When he tried to get away, he used animated ropes of hair to bind Cyrus and Jebel to keep them from snatching him up, and the crab scuttled off into the forest. But shortly thereafter, Vendar made his way back to the surface, and Cyrus pointed him in the direction of the crab, and he went off and fetched it. At this point, everybody is back topside, and you have a little under an hour left on this polymorph. Lost the word for a second there. So, we start off. You have come back to the wagon. Larmendus and Leah having teleported after being unable to climb the rope.
Unable is such an accurate word. However, I feel like it's hurtful.
But accurate.
After proving that they needed more gym classes.
Jim wasn't even in any of my classes.
So you... Jim. Oh, shut up, Sam.
Nalia and Calendar, those are the people in my classes. There was no Jim.
The Mendes family within the wagon seemed adamant that this polymorphed fey creature not be brought within, when Vendar seemed uncertain what to do with it. And you guys are no longer hasted. So, state, not haste. Not haste. We are out of initiative. Time is once again flowing as normally as time flows in this place, which, that's up in the air. And, Cyrus is holding the crab. So, you're out of the hole, you're all here, the crab is in Cyrus' hand in a burlap sack.
Yeah, good. If this problem's done, I'm gonna go in and sleep.
1 second. There was a creature up here that was talking to us. I didn't know what it was saying, but Jebel seemed to understand it and said that it was trying to capture us? Do I have that right?
Yeah.
I'm asking Jebel. And he polymorphed it into a crab that's currently inside of this bag. Do we want to, talk to this guy, or just let the crab wander off and go about our way?
I feel if we let him wander off, he'll just come back again.
I mean, we're about to leave. Why?
We'll have a bit of a head start.
Yeah, I say just let the crab go and let's just move.
If he comes back again, he's dead.
I have no interest in meeting whatever Fame Master he has.
He did hit me with a stick.
We're on a tight schedule here.
Okay.
I have no interest in dealing with any Fae that we do not have to deal with.
I go to let the crab out then. Everybody in the bus!
In, don't hit the
Sack
crab.
back.
The crab comes tumbling out of the burlap sack, plopping onto the soft ground, and you see like little spittle bubbles forming in its mandible as its black eyes peer up at you, and it gives you a couple snips of its claws menacingly before it starts shuffling through the weeds again.
Yeah, we want to get moving quickly.
Yeah, I'll get my sack back from Cyrus and then go back into the house.
Okay. There you are. You collect your burlap sack and step up, and you can see that most of the cousins have drifted off away from the foyer during your talk, and Ma and Pa are standing there, looking very wary at you, kind of with Pa throwing up a warning hand as you step in. He says, "And are we good?"
Yeah, we got rid of it. But we should go.
They look at each other a moment before nodding and saying, "With all speed." Gesturing
I
you
follow
inside.
in after and yawn loudly.
You see as you enter, Leah, that Pa is returning to the front of the house to drive the Mices, as Ma says, "Oh dear, why don't you let me put you to bed?"
It's very sweet to it, but I can find it myself.
"I will not
No,
take
there
no
it
for an
is.
answer." She bustles over and just grabs you by the shoulders and starts steering you.
Hey. I'll let you know that I'm quite capable of finding it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Everybody piles into the wagon one after another. Yes, nobody's staying behind.
Don't think
Oh
so.
no.
I'm in the wagon.
I'm hanging out a window, apparently.
I mean, the wagon takes up the entire square under you. They just are never square images. Sorry. If it's any consolation, Yukikaze is also hanging out a window.
We gotta balance the weight,
There you go.
I think I'm a good balance to him.
You're not.
Weight-wise. Him and his plate and me with
it greatly
this
tips
plate
to one
of
side.
food.
If we put Laramundus, Cyrus, and Jebel on one scale, and Yukikaze on the other, I'm pretty sure he'd beat us handily.
So, Ma is going to be basically burritoing Leah and hauling her up the ladder. She is impressively strong.
I don't have enough energy to fight her more than I already did.
I am aware. I'm letting the others know what they see. Oh goodness. She will take you up, Leah, and place you into the bed. She does finally produce the water that she said she was going to bring you earlier.
But later than ever.
Yeah. And she stays there for a few moments, sitting on the edge of the bed, just sort of absently running her hand over your hair as long as you let her. She seems to be caught in a thought.
What are you doing?
Oh, I'm sorry if that's bother. It was just... I used to do that for Leia when he was young.
Do all mothers do that?
Only the good ones, I think. So yeah, all of them.
Strange.
As you drift off, she will, see herself out. But she
Bendar's
is-
gonna get some food for him and Squeakers.
You can see that Ma has pretty much got the kitchen back in working order since the unexpected crash. You are able to rummage about, and as you find some things to nibble on, she will eventually make her way back down the stairs into the kitchen, spotting you, I imagine, Vendar leaning up against a counter with Squeakers on his shoulder as he just is sort of like, taking a bite of a piece of food, then holding it up for Squeakers, and then taking another bite. She kind of frowns at you a moment and says, "I can make you something more filling if you're not going straight to bed."
That'd be nice. Thank you.
She gestures for you to make space at the counter, and she begins pulling at some things. You can see that there were some containers that were still out from earlier, and she throws together a quick sandwich with some of the leftover breakfast meats, a lot of the salvage. "Once we're clear of this part of the forest, I'll get back on that breakfast for the others. But I expect you and your lot are going to actually sleep now."
Probably.
It's
Only been a while.
I think we are nearing where you want to be.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's, as you might have been able to tell, a little hard to reason. But sometimes the forest is friendly. Things have gone mostly well so far. Now, what was all the hullabaloo out there?
Well, there were some bug creatures that pulled Tatsuya into the hole, so we had to kill those, and then apparently some Fae came and tried to bring us into their master and talk to him, but we didn't want to do that, so we turned him into a crab and moved on.
You see that she has prepared several sandwiches, and she kind of hefts the platter and heads toward the ladder, and says, just gestures that you follow. So you continue telling her this as you make your way back into the dining area where the rest of the party is still milling, I think, for the moment. She says, "And these bugs, what were they like?"
Weren't very tough, but they had this like aura of fear. It was kind of weird. Yukikaze knows more about them.
She has a very concerned look on her face as she sets the platter down and kind of sweeps a hand over it in a "you all are welcome to this" gesture.
There's some weird mushroom creatures too.
Tatsuya will grab a sandwich and go lay down.
Okay.
Or
Just grabs a sandwich.
Well, he'll grab a sandwich, eat, thank her, and then he's gonna go off to sleep. He's
Okay.
tired.
Grab a sandwich and then just drop to the ground.
on my dining room floor. So, Yuki, you've been indicated as having information. Did you want to share it?
Yeah, I can just if she seems interested and wants to know, I will inform everyone of the details I know of the creature from my research and where I researched it from.
As you give your descriptions, you see this look of concern deepening and deepening until she seems, morose, desperate, on the verge of tears. And she's shaking her head, and she clutches like a dish rag, close to her chin, and she's just kind of staring at the surface of the table, as she kind of ekes out, "It's my fault," without any further explanation.
How would you say that?
Without making eye contact with you, Vendar, she continues to stare at the table and says, "I'm so sorry. The creatures, they appeared because of me. Because of the family."
It's no problem. We took care of him.
Shouldn't have had to deal with it.
Why would they have appeared because of you?
As part of Yukikaze's explanation of these creatures, they are spawned within the Feywild in proximity to creatures that feel desperate fear or are overwhelmed by concern and worry.
Got it.
Bunch of people spent a lot of yesterday telling this poor woman many stories of the horrible creatures you fought alongside her one and only son, and it seems to have had an effect.
Everything was dealt with swiftly. Everyone is fairly unscathed, and we were able to get a move on quickly again. Considering the dangers of traveling in the way that we are, I think that this was a very reasonable thing to run across. And I'm glad that it was only this.
Was it only this? Endar said there was another creature. One with a master.
And by the time that anything is going to come of that, we should be fairly far away. I would know this as an as a spellcaster who can cast concentration spells. So I'm going to ask the voice in the sky if you're concentrating on, for example, polymorph. Would you know when the spell ends if it ends prematurely?
I think that should be the case. I don't believe it says anywhere in the book, but it seems mostly reasonable. If I come across any reason that shouldn't be the case, I'll let you know. I can think of a couple, important ways this can be used, so I'm gonna keep my eye on that.
Okay. So for now, then, I'll say Jebel can inform us if the polymorph breaks prematurely, but it should last quite a while from the point of contact, and then there will be however long between the creature returning to its master and anything happening that anything could happen. So we will be very far away by that point.
Jebel, you believe you have about 45 minutes left on this spell.
I would inform them of roughly, that rough time left on it.
See her, eyes still a bit damp, from the previous realization, kind of nodding as you say that, and then kind of that constricting of the pupils as a kind of a realization comes to her, and she turns over her shoulder toward her husband and says, "Pa, you might want to double time it. We might have pursuers." And you kind of see him cock an ear up, and then sort of you see his shoulders hunch as he kind of bristles at the information before he just shouts "Yeah!" and cracks the reins through the port in the wall in front of him. And you
Do we know what domains we are near that a servant might have been sent away from?
She stands and turns to there's like a couple of shelves set into the wall in this dining area with a few books and scrolls rolled up on it, and she pulls down one of the smaller pamphlets and says, "Well, these things are subject to change, but Pa and I have tried to keep a bit of track of the different Fae that command the areas around here. I can estimate, but our path is unusual. We were trying to stay along the borders, so it could be one of any several, depending on where exactly we are. But I can at least look here and give a guess among those who it might be. I don't suppose you remember any of this from when you traveled with us, do you, son?
Voice in the sky. Do I?
I mean, you've got a pretty good memory, and you were an adult traveling with them. You did spend some of your adult life traveling with them, though you did leave just about as soon as you could. So you, of course, do have some memory of dealing with some of this, like this whole riding borders, keeping clear of the Fae to get from place to place, is something you're familiar with. The individual Fae, while you know most can be pretty damn long-lived, it is the Fae wild, and things are chaotic, so there are abrupt changes in domain from time to time.
So I would imagine that most of my knowledge about the individual entities is outdated by this point.
She sighs and kind of nods, agreeing with your assessment, before looking back up to Jebel and saying, "What exactly did it say to you, this emissary?"
He was there. Oh. I don't remember his exact words, but I believe it was something like he wanted us to go with him to his master. I told him that everyone was down the hole, and so he said that he was going to take us, and then he hit me with a stick.
He didn't mention why you were interested?
I don't think so.
You can see her tapping. There's like this rough hand-drawn,
Out of character, I believe I asked him who his master was, and he said that his master would introduce himself.
Yes. You also might remember that when this creature said that, he kept changing the gender of the pronoun he was using as he said the sentence. As he said, my master will introduce himself when you meet her.
Oh yeah, I think I remember that, yeah. That information will get passed along too.
You see that she's tapping a blob located roughly left of central on this sheet of parchment in the pamphlet. The whole thing is a hand-sketched blob, really filled in with circles of very rough shape, very sketchy along the edges, and you can see that the lines have been moved several times. It seems, more like almost a grid pattern than a map of any kind, as there's no features on it that would give you the feel of a map, except for now and again you can kind of see a scrolling line traveling, from top to bottom or diagonally, and then branching, and you feel that perhaps those are supposed to mark waterways. But the focus of what's in front of her is definitely there's these blob like areas set out with some elven script in each. And she's tapping on one that you can see, those of you that read Elven, has had the name crossed out about 3 times, each time a different name. And the current name that is there says in Elven, Laurel Stillblossom. And she sighs, tapping it a few more times, where she says, "Well, without any further information than that, I really can't venture a good guess, but I think we're about here, just leaving this area, so within an hour, we should be, hopefully, beyond their border. This particular Fae is very interested in mortals in what I would call an unhealthy way."
Being farther from their border seems reasonable then.
But I don't have terribly much information on them beyond that. We turned down a job with them a few years back because we'd heard the stories. It just didn't seem like the kind of people we wanted to involve ourselves with. And you kind of hear a cough from the front of the wagon house as Pa chimes in and says, "Ha! I remember her. What they said was that she collects them. Wants to be one. They say, the reason we didn't take the job is that they say that you might as not escape the domain once you enter it, especially if you accept an invitation."
Well, then I'm glad we turned him into a crab, so we can get out of there.
I wouldn't count on the magic lesson the whole time, especially if she's home to help whatever servant you just transmogrified.
To Jebel, I'm going to say, did you say anything that implied acceptance of an invitation?
I don't think so.
How confident are you?
I'm never confident.
That's unfortunate.
By the way, until your spell goes away, could you do me a favor and stand next to Tatsuya? Just in case there's a strong bump or something.
And Tatsuya go to bed.
Oh yeah, Tatsuya left.
Yep, he
I
did.
thought you just passed down to the dining room floor.
No, we were kidding about that.
Okay.
We corrected that.
Okay. So then, well, I'll still suggest it.
I mean, he only has an aura as long as he's conscious. If he's asleep, he's not putting out an aura.
Yeah, but I don't know that.
Oh. Fair
I think you do.
I've never been around a paladin when it's unconscious. I always go down first.
Fair enough. Then, sorry, Jebel. What say you to this odd suggestion?
Did you... Do we want to stand next to Tatsuya, or did he change it to...
I think he said stand next to Tatsuya until your spell ends.
Am I aware of the aura not? Because I think I've been near Raiken when Raiken got knocked out.
So, you are aware that while he was in the room eating the sandwich, you all felt empowered and calm, and then when he left, you felt less so. So you know what it feels like when you're near him, and you know what it feels like when you're not near him. So, if you go drift over to him when he's asleep, you might find that, you know, that feeling of calm supportiveness isn't there. Pretty straightforward. Like, this is something that you don't have to know ahead of time. We can find out now. And that's okay. But the short answer here is that it doesn't sound like anybody is actually aware that the aura goes away when the character is asleep or unconscious.
Wonder if Raiken or Tatsuya even be aware since they fall asleep. They don't know what's going on while they're asleep.
They're literally unconscious at the time.
Yep.
Okay, so when Cyrus makes that request, I'll just sort of a bump.
Might make it hard to concentrate? I don't know. I mean, we did fall in a pothole earlier.
Oh, I get you. I don't think hitting a bump is going to have that much of an effect.
Just a suggestion. Take it or leave it.
Well, if you all are finished with the sandwiches, I think you all look like you could use some sleep.
I think
Sounds
that's
good
a
to
good
me.
idea. I do think that, Jebel, I'm perfectly content to stay up with you and chat to make sure that you don't fall asleep while concentrating on polymorph.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was looking forward to getting some sleep too.
It'll only be another 40 minutes or so, hopefully. Hopefully not any less than that.
That's the point.
It's a little under a half hour at this point.
Let me just check something in my notes.
Although I guess some of that was spent missing, so maybe a little over a half hour. So yeah.
Was there a language you wanted to practice?
That's what I was checking. Can we try some Elvish?
That seems particularly useful here. Maybe we could rope in one of the cousins.
I think everybody should figure out where they've written down their language lessons and make sure they know how many lessons they have of everything.
I have that written down.
I'm just saying know where it is so that you can find it quickly, since I know some people wanted to make use of it recently and they were like, I don't know how many lessons I've had. I'm like, well, neither do I.
I have taken so few.
You know
That's
kind of a
on
lot.
on my languages. I can just hover over them and it tells me.
Well, that's not going to tell you once that you have only part way done.
I mean,
That's
yeah, I hover over Draconic, it says 8 lessons.
8. I don't know what feature that is, but that's cool.
Well, I mean, if I click on it and then I open it up and there's just like a note that you can put under it.
Ah, see? Look at that.
Oh, yeah. So,
That's an excellent system. Thank you, Jacob.
yeah.
Alright, let me try that.
I will need to move my things over there now.
Language.
I mean, you might redundant them into the notes section, which is where I would have been keeping them, but yeah, that sounds way better.
Yeah, I mean, I have written into this note system and to a sheet on Roll20.
I don't know what World 20 is.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Very nice. Good job, Jacob.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You have taught us all a very neat trick.
You're welcome.
Alright. She says, who knows? By the time you wake up, depending on how the time is flowing, we could be there. And again, Pa takes this moment to interject and says, "Ha! You'd only be so lucky."
Bound to have luck one day or another. Hopefully it's now.
You just hear a snort from the front.
Shall we find a room to continue some Elvish lessons then, Jebel?
That would be perfect.
Okay, now that that's done, you are, of course, free. Are you all going to go to sleep?
I'm gonna make sure my musket's loaded and then I'll go to sleep.
Fair, no, fair. Very good. I will probably forget, but now you know you have reloaded it, so I don't know. I kind of wish they had a loaded versus unloaded marker on there. But I will try to remember that you have loaded it. I won't question you later. It is loaded. Jebel, you're getting an Elvish lesson?
Yes, please.
Alright, you may mark down 1 hour of Elvish. Larry, you were already at a level of exhaustion right before this, right?
Yes.
Alright, I'm gonna need you to make a saving throw because you are teaching.
I'm bad at those.
I know.
Teaching.
Thanks.
You are spending the extra effort to stay up, beyond when your body wants to go to sleep, and you're going...
I think it's this one.
And Jebel,
I am also suffering a level of exhaustion.
does that bring you to 3?
No.
Okay. Are you making the save now?
Yes!
Or were you...
We found the secret for Laramentis' constitution checks.
Oh.
And it's teaching, because I got a 20.
All of your rolls since last session have been really good. It's gonna be really
Not
sad
when I was
this...
trying to climb.
Alright, well...
I rolled an 18.
So am I making a roll as well?
I think that you should also, because you're trying to stay awake, focus on the spell, and focus on the things that he's teaching you.
This is a con save.
This is a con save, and I believe that the DC now is pretty high. I'm gonna say that it's 17 at this point.
Well, that is higher than 4, so...
They kind of start at 10, so... I feel like this isn't my fault. So yeah, get yourself another point of exhaustion, which I think brings you back to 2, if I remember things correctly.
It does.
Okay. So you make it through the lesson, but your body's not happy about it.
Maybe he should prepare Greater Restoration.
Maybe he should get one of those potions of vitality back from one of you.
It's a 5th level spell, and it is prepared. I keep that one prepared now at all times.
Greater Restoration also remove all levels or just one level?
I can't remember.
I think it's just one.
I also think it's just one, but I don't know, and if so, then fuck, those potions are OP.
Yeah, by one.
Yeah, that's what I thought I remembered. Okay. Anyway, enough of that stuff. The rest of you sleep. Yes, nobody is not sleeping. Is anybody not sleeping? Besides those two?
No.
Okay. Cool. So, all of you may have a long rest. You guys do eventually go to sleep. You can have a long rest and then reduce that exhaustion you just got back down by 1 point there, Jeb. I think there is finally back down to 0.
I am. It's wonderful.
So anybody who has a point of exhaustion or more, reduce it by 1. Get your health back. Get your spell slots back. You're feeling pretty good. Things seem to be going okay.
There had been a spell that I wanted to
Time
switch
for-
out, I think.
Tristan dropped the ball off.
What? Why would I do something like that?
It's you, Tristan.
That's rude. Now then, you will rise. You look out your respective windows. The trees are still moving by. It is dark outside, but you can see that there is a sparkling of light. And, after several minutes of, getting ready, putting on armor, stuff like that, you see that sparkling of light is intensifying, and you realize that the sun is rising.
Dawn. Ash resets.
What was that?
I said dawn. Ash resets. Finally.
It has been a tough trek, hasn't it? You do hear the familiar sounds of birds calling in the trees around you. The wind is rustling the leaves, and you can see dewdrops being plucked from the leaves and being carried as sparkling droplets among motes of magical light that seem to drift through the trees here as purple clouds roll by overhead. And as you finish your preparations, you begin to hear the, at this point, beginning to become familiar sounds of Mama Mendes down in the kitchen getting things prepared. It's a good thing she seems to keep a stocked pantry to feed all of these people. So you know that breakfast is going to be happening soon. And it is at this point that as the wagon is rolling through these glades of trees, following no path that you can really discern, though every now and then as you look out any given window down, you could almost swear that you see like the ruts of pathways beneath the wagon, ahead or behind. You see the trees kind of part, and you realize that you are passing by a like an overhang, like a cliff edge, and you get this long view out the right side of the wagon. Perhaps you're in one room or another, and you just see the light kind of coming in, so you head over to the window and look out, and you just see this expanse of trees out and away, rising, falling, cliffs, plateaus spiring up above with waterfalls sprays of water in this iridescent blue-green coming down in the distance. You can see colorful birds and other flying creatures that don't necessarily resemble birds flying over this vast expanse of forest upon which you can see is pocked in places, clearings, groves, glades beneath you. And you can hear the splish-splash as the wagon seems to pass over a creek or a stream, some kind of shallow body of water that you can see is tumbling over the edge and splashing its way down this rock face that you're passing over. And down below, you see one particular glade of trees there, separated seeming among the others as it includes a large body of water. And the other thing that separates it is that the color here is different. Everywhere seems to be this vibrant green, the dark green of moss, yellows, lively, bright colors in most cases are very verdant. But here you see that there is a gradient as it passes from the dark green to the light green to the yellow to the brown, black. And you see this ring surrounding this lake as it gradients in, down to these darker, browner, less vibrant colors. And you notice that at its center, well, not necessarily the center since there's the lake there, but next to the edge of the lake, and surrounded by these trees that are clearly less vital, less vibrant than the others, there is a structure that seems to reflect gleaming white sunlight that is coming, seems to reflect gleaming white up at you as the sun is cresting over the hills here. There is a building down below. Mere miles away at this point. That is what you see. That is what you know.
I'm gonna go down for breakfast.
Going down for breakfast seems good.
Food.
You get
Glorious food.
hot food and food?
And some of it could be cold.
Ugh.
Like the butter. Until it gets on the hot food. Then it's nice and warm, melty.
Cruel to do this to a person who hasn't had dinner besides a sandwich. Any event, you all go down. I assume. Does anybody not go down? Feel free to not go down, but let me know if you're not going down.
I'm going down for breakfast as well.
Okay. Then, with no refusals, everyone goes down. You see that the cousins are already gathering. You find yourself in a parade of cousins as you head to the table. They are all chattering and seemingly jovial. Some of them are still casting, or rather now casting, uncertain or distrustful gazes upon the party. You believe, perhaps, in light of the events the previous day. And finally, one of the cousins, leans over toward Lair and says, "You and your friends really aren't getting used to the time around here, are you?"
This is all of their first times in the Feywild, and it's been quite a while for me.
Why do you say that?
How long were we out?
Well, since breakfast yesterday. Breakfast today. 24 hours? Day? He's keeps going with the time, you get it yet? You get it yet?
Yeah, I get it.
So, do you have something that wakes you up, or it's just that your body's become accustomed from being here so long?
Yeah.
We're experts on travel here.
Why do I feel so tired if I've slept for 24 hours.
It's too long to sleep.
He actually, like,
Is this a
points a
thing?
finger at Lair. Slept too long?
Didn't know that was a thing.
Overslept. You get too much sleep, you get too much energy buildup. And then it just makes you feel tired.
One of the cousins starts like drawing a bell curve.
And right around here is a perfect sleep.
4 hours. The tiefling looks over at the elf that said that.
Yes, some of us might find that a bit skewed. Don't listen to him, he's biased. Now, you feeling tired after 24 hours of sleep? I mean, you can only benefit from so much at once, right? You need to perform some activity, and then you can get more sleep.
I forgot I was muted. No, I said when he mentioned energy build-up, Jebel just kind of glances at Cyrus.
In the future, if I'm sleeping for a particularly long time, I'd appreciate if somebody would wake me up.
In the future.
Particularly long.
Don't mind me while I shuffle some spell slots into points and points back to spell slots to eat up a few slots.
I would say. Go ahead.
That didn't answer my question. The reminder says how long is too long.
Let's go with 16 hours.
Noted.
So I want to look at Mama Mendes and say, please, if I sleep 8 hours, no matter when it is, or even if I don't, or if I want to sleep more, please wake me up.
Alright. At least now you're awakened with the sun.
That is nice.
You all are very certain you did not sleep for 24 hours.
I don't like the time in this place.
Yeah, it doesn't like you either.
Other times, just give him the middle finger.
Contact other plane. What the fuck is wrong with time? Middle finger. What does that mean?
Why are you just laughing?
Mom Mendes does start doling out some eggs and meats. And Pa, who seems to be back at the reins again. You've honestly not seen this man away from the reins. You wonder if he sleeps. Kinda... Huh?
He's an elf, isn't he?
Indeed he is.
It
No,
doesn't
he
sleep.
doesn't sleep. We know the answer.
You wonder if this man rests. He kind of, swings his head back over the bench, looking upside down at the table of family members and friends, and said, "Did y'all happen to see that sight glimmering about 20 minutes ago?"
I don't believe so.
The sunrise?
Yes, the sunrise. No! We passed by a cliff and we could see out over the wilds. Was I the only one who appreciate the views around here?
I mean, I did see some of it. Still trying to get the sleepy out of my eyes.
Nobody appreciates nature around here. Anyway, I believe I saw where we're headed.
Am I good?
Are we good?
No, somewhere good. Like, I'll be going somewhere good.
I
This
was
is trouble.
hoping you could tell me that. We're going to this autumn's elegy.
Are we there yet?
Couple more
Armin just
hours.
looks at Vendar.
Oh, great. Couple more hours. So about like 5 minutes based on how time works here.
Or a couple days. It goes both ways.
I just take a deep, deep sip from whatever I'm drinking.
You're all in no fun. I thought you'd be excited to be almost at your destination.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, but almost seems to be very, very relative.
Uncertain.
Active. Yeah.
And I just woke up, so you know.
Ma, put some food in them. I can't deal with them like this. Driving this damned thing for days. You eat. Now Ma makes pleasant conversation, Pa interjecting with a joke or a feeling. Every now and then, the cousins mostly ribbing one another over breakfast. You notice this time they are discussing more the acts they want to perform. Some of them wondering if they'll be able to perform at Autumn's Elegy, and Ma and Pa summarily shutting that shit down. But things seem pleasant for about an hour. Now, I guess, as any good video game might warn you, you are coming to a point where you may or may not see the Mendises or their wagon ever again. Is there anything you would like to do before you depart into the next part of the story?
I think that Laramendus is going to ask his mother if she wants to talk to Nalia.
She seems very excited to do that.
If you do ask what the date is,
I will. Paul, would you like to meet her too, or do you want to focus on the Mices?
Oh, you can't do it here?
I look at everyone. I suppose
There's
I mean,
just
I
eyes boring
could.
into you, dozens of pairs.
I think that might be a bit chaotic for if there's other conversation going on that Ash might be transmitting. I look like plaintively at Ash, like out of the corner of my eye.
He kind of hesitates, looks at you, looks around the room, looks back to you, and says, "It is difficult to maintain a strong connection when so many minds are present. It would not be, especially across planes, of course." And he looks at you again. He doesn't have any expressions, but you can feel his question like that.
I just the most imperceptible nod. Then anyone could swear Ash winks.
Just a little flicker in his light. Just in one spot, though, not the whole thing.
Magic and all that. Well, this is more for your mother than for me. I'm sure she'll give me the play-by-play later. She, stands up to go rest a hand on her husband's shoulder. Beaming. Want to put out that The NPC is super happy to get to do this. Now I get to talk to myself. I'm not happy.
I have a question.
Please.
So between getting to the destination, from breakfast ending and getting to the destination, how long a space of time is that? Are we at the destination yet?
He said a few hours, so that was before an hour passed. So now you're down to, I don't know, a couple hours. Say 2 to 3 hours.
Alright, so...
Assuming the time is still flowing normally, and nobody's told you that it is or isn't.
How long does it take to make a potion?
That's one potion.
He has
Usually,
access to the still. How long does it take?
with access to the still, he'd be able to do it in an hour with access to the still.
I want to approach Vendar and ask him if he'd like to help me experiment with something.
Yes.
I don't know if I want that to go near the still.
That is a dangerous thing to just say yes to.
Yes.
Hey, Vendor, you want to? Yup. Cool. Okay. Sam's gonna go have a conversation with his mother and Nalia. Vendar and Jebel are gonna go and experiment with the still.
My plan is I can make potions that increase stats, and Vendar can make poisons. So if we work together...
You want a poison to decrease stats?
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty. Anybody else? Let's just get a list of things going. So those are 2 things that are happening. I am not accounting for Leah, Tatsuya, Yukikaze, or Cyrus.
I guess while this stuff's going on, I guess I could. I'd like to talk to Pa about some of the Feywild environment.
Okay, that's reasonable. He loved the company. Leah, Tatsuya?
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to do in the remaining, perhaps 2 hours you have in this wagon before it potentially disappears from your life forever?
Tatsuya doesn't really have anything.
Take a bath.
Take a bath. Reasonable. Cyrus.
I probably want to be kind of just looking at the window, taking in the scenery a bit, seeing if any places we happen to be passing by look familiar.
Okay. I just don't want to get your hopes up. It's pretty forest here.
Yeah, I'm not expecting to, but it's something to do.
All right.
One of the cousins. Go ahead.
And practice a bit of wizardry when he can. Just kind of go over
the stuff from the arcane lesson.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
One of the cousins grabs Tatsuya's arm, like Link's arms, and says, "How would you like to learn how to juggle?" and starts pulling you away.
He's always getting abducted by the Mendices. Actually, I just remembered something that I forgot to say last time. I thought that it would be a good idea if everybody marks down that they had a 1-hour lesson, put it in your notes, for Wizard Arcane Magic.
What about for the ones that were studying how to disable them?
I mean, you were still around for the entire lesson about arcane magic and how wizards do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Raiken.
So each
He
of you
wasn't
has
here
an
for
hour
it.
lesson there, and I'll do up a little chart, similar to the languages for how this can translate to permanent bonuses, or even somehow making multi-classing easier or possible.
Or like Arcana check related.
Exactly. Well, I imagine like the once you get to a certain number of lessons, definitely like start with like a static bonus and then go to like advantage kind of thing, proficiency, or what is it? Proficiency, expertise, that kind of stuff. Advantage.
Half proficiency a thing?
I think
yeah, it is.
D&D Beyond says it's a thing. It
is because of bards with jack of all trades.
Right.
So,
okay.
it is
So
a thing that you can mark
yes,
down.
half proficiency is a thing. So again, I haven't made this chart yet. I will make it, but I want you to have 1 hour lesson, arcane, wizard, magic, some combination of those 3 words, marked down just so that we can, in case we need to at some later date, differentiate between other things. But probably we won't. But I won't discount it. So, that's something that I'd wanted to say last time and forgotten. And now I've said it a bunch. So, hopefully you'll get a chance to teach more lessons, and we'll see this actually bud into something for people. You got languages and wizard magic. I think I've given people a pretty good number of ways to branch outside of their class. Grow.
Yeah.
Outside
That'll
of
we
the
need to
strictures of the class.
see more of.
Alright.
More taken advantage of, I mean.
Yeah. Alright, how shall we start this? I guess one I can start with. Leah's bathing. Tatsuya is off juggling. Tatsuya, why don't you give me like dexterity saving throw, a strength saving throw, and a constitution saving throw.
Alright, first one was... Doesn't matter. Constitution, or dexterity, strength, and constitution?
Yeah. Doesn't
Okay.
matter. Whichever you like first.
Dexterity is a 10.
Okay.
Strength is a 19.
Very nice.
And Constitution is a 16.
Okay. So this cousin tosses a few weighted sacks at you, and says, "Let's start with these, because they won't go bouncing away, and you can't hurt yourself with them." I think. There's that slight pause before he emphasizes, "I think." You do, like, he throws them at you, and you fumble them for a second, but you manage to hold on to all 3 of them. And then he pulls out some balls of his own, and then begins to shut up, and then begins tossing the God damn it! Begins tossing you, just like slowly showing you, like, here's the process. What? Shut up! God damn it! Fucking children! Showing you the method.
Phrase
here.
it better.
No! Throwing some balls around. Deal with it.
It's not just any balls, though. It's his balls.
Big brass.
Going to walk away. I'm going to make you a different DM's problem. So close to the end, and then
they teach him to juggle.
Yeah,
they start teaching him to juggle. You manage to catch things. You kind of you're getting like the little hang of the tossing it around. Your stamina's great. You do end up tossing one of these bags too high. It hits the ceiling and bursts, dropping sand all over everything. Just a little too strong for your own good. But he laughs at you for a mo and then gets you another one. And afterward you clean up together, and you feel like you've kind of begun to learn this new skill. Not that you're sure it'll ever help you.
You never know, though.
Or juggling warhammers.
Never know. Juggling warhammers.
Yeah, +1 on acrobatics.
+1 on acrobatic. Oh yeah, that makes him at a solid 0.
It's better than a -1.
It is better than a -1. Bath. Let's go to the poison. So, you two. You go up to the bedroom level, because you remember that Laramendus told you the still was up on the roof, and it's at first not obvious how to get any higher, and then you just sort of notice as you're like pacing back and forth up and down this hallway with the bedrooms on either side, that there's like this just in the corner in one plot there's a little string hanging down, and you hadn't seen anything regarding it. You didn't know what it was for before, but you've tried everything else. You didn't see anything. So you give it a little tug. And you hear a thump. And you realize that behind you, at the other end of the hallway, a little trap door that had been seemingly, been just a part of a seamless part of the ceiling has opened, and a ladder on rail guides has slid down and thunked against the floor. You climb up this, and you find yourself on top of this wagon house, where there is a small flat platform. Anyway, so there is a small flat platform. The roof itself is kind of all over the place. There's little peaks and steeples here and there. And then there's this one flat part, which is just large enough for a couple people. And you're sharing the space with this contraption, for lack of a better term. There's very clearly a heater chamber on the bottom where you can light a fire. You can see these percolators, some glass tubing running between a few what look to be clay jars. You do see that somebody has fashioned a jar, or what looks like a tiny cauldron, but with straight sides there, and all these things just running all over the place, like something out of, Frankenstein, right?
Okay.
And you're looking upon this thing, and it looks like a torture device. You've not seen something like this before, but you've got, between Vendar's proficiency in his poisoner's kit and your proficiency with the herbalism kit, you can kind of follow the lines and see where the tubes are going, and go, okay, I think I understand what's going on here. It seems like they took a bunch of the different pieces of your herbalism kit, your poisoner's kit, and combined them into one device, where you have to use one and then use the next one and then use the next one as you're refining your things down. This is just you put your input in one spot and you get an output on the other as it goes through all of those processes in one device, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you go, okay, you get your, well, why don't you talk about what it is you want to do, and then we'll start from there. So tell Vendar what it is you want to do experiment with. I don't want to take away this roleplay.
Okay, so remember at the university that guy showed us how to make those things?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to do the opposite of what he told me. Instead of making potions that make you smarter or, more dexterous, I'm thinking we can make poisons that make us, well, not us, of course, but make other people less less strong, less smart.
Sounds doable.
It could be quite handy.
Be funny to see some guy with a big ol' weapon or something and make him too weak to use it, or a mage make him too dumb to cast spells.
That's actually one of the areas, yeah.
You can
Nice
begin
way to
to
shut down a mage.
You can begin to imagine this, Vendar, a poison that you could get someone to ingest, or one that you could lace onto one of your arrows, or onto a weapon to stab, like a bladed weapon to stab someone with. Or even, if you could, figure out...
A bomb like the goo bombs
yeah.
for it.
Right now, you still rely on him to make them for you, I believe. Isn't that correct? Lysandrius.
I don't recall. Did he not show me how to make the goo bombs?
I'll have to listen to the recording and double check on that. But you do have a couple. I remember you had him make you a couple.
Yeah, I have 5 goo bombs.
Okay. So I'll check on that recording. But you believe that what Jebel is suggesting is very doable, and this contraption seems like it's going to save you time if you can use it properly. And so you set about getting out the ingredients that you know you need. Jebel pulling out what he would use to make his potions to increase stats, which, as you recall, included some of your magic there, Jebel, I believe?
Yep.
Yep. So you believe that if you introduce the correct ingredients in the correct way, you should be able to cast your magic into it pretty much the same, but the ingredients will reverse the effect. So you have mapped this out pretty well in your head. You think you know what's going on. You believe you have the correct ingredients and that you can do this right. So you go to make sure that this device is going to work the way you want it to, and as, you know, any alchemist, chemist knows, you must have clean tools. And the first thing you notice is that this tool has not been cleaned out from whatever it was used last. So you spend a bit of time first forcing out the residue of the last use. And what you end up with is, as you set the machine in motion with whatever it had, and then place water to boil it through, you notice that there is a vial that collects the results at the end, where you're blasting the residue from the previous experiment into. And as you look at this, it appears to be a glass vial filled with a black fluid. And as you're pushing the last of the residue into it, it seems to jostle and jar, and you at first thought it was just a dirty old thing, you know, it collected like silt sediment or something in there, but you realize that the as it jostles and shakes as the thing is going, that the little specks that you're seeing weren't sediment or deposits or contaminants. They appear to be motes of light within the black liquid. And that as it wobbles and shakes before you, that you catch swirls and strikes of deep purples and dark blues among the black.
Well, that's a thing.
Didn't they say, like, they condense starlight up here or something?
I'll have to ask someone about this.
I hope it doesn't mess up the poisons.
You're cleaning out the vessel as you go, so you can just remove this vial. You could dump its contents over the side. You could just toss the vial away and provide one of your own. I do believe you have plenty of empty vials from your
I have a few.
and you've got a few.
I have lots of vials.
Yeah, exactly.
Are they both the same? Do we have the same types?
Yeah, I'm just uniforming vials at this point.
Yeah. Okay. No, it's just for like reference.
Yeah. So you've got
No,
a
I
bunch of
pocket
vials.
this one just for to ask someone about it.
Okay, so you take the vial off, you stopper it, and you pocket it. You're not getting rid of it.
Correct.
Okay, very good. And you run your experiment, so I want you each to roll your skill with your respective kits.
So, herbalism.
Yes.
Uh,
I believe they're wisdom.
okay. So that's wisdom plus my proficiency.
Right. And same for Vendar, poison making.
Oh, this fucking dice.
It's just wisdom plus proficiency. What's proficiency at this level?
Plus 5.
Which... It's almost like you're getting toward max level.
Almost.
So, what you got, Jeb?
I got 11.
11. And what do you have there, Vendar?
26.
Huh.
That's slightly
Alright.
more.
So, Jeb, I want you to spend the spell slots for one of these vials that you're trying to create. Whatever you would have been trying to do the first time.
Yep.
And, Vendor, you feel like your part went perfectly. He explained to you what bits needed to be introduced and when and how he thought they should be heated. And you felt like all of that same sound. And then you see him do his magic thing, and when it comes out the other end, it doesn't look right. Like you never made this thing before, but that just doesn't seem right. You could give it a little try. Expecting to have... What were you going to reduce?
Me?
Yeah. What were you going to make for your first one?
The intelligence.
Intelligence.
Poison.
Right. So you fully expect to, like, take a little sip of this thing and have your intelligence impeded, feel a little dumber, a little slower. But you don't. You honestly feel totally fine. The stuff in the vial is a little spicy. In a pretty good way.
Well, I don't think it worked, but it makes some good hot sauce.
Well,
I'll try again.
Can try again. Roll them up. 26 on wisdom. What the hell?
Are you talking about
plus
this?
2 wisdom
sleeves?
and then plus 5 proficiency, and I rolled a 19.
Malachi, what?
I was gonna say, are you telling them to roll up their sleeves or roll their dice?
Oh, I mean both. By trying again.
That's 2 die rolls, and I got 2 on both of them.
I didn't roll very well this time. The 12 total.
Okay. The theory seems sound. We lose some more spell slot. Parenthetical S. I don't know how many you would have spent. But I think that after the first experiment, you saw that this was a bit tougher to get than you expected. So you might have been more conservative with your magic spending.
Shit's sake. If so I got a 27 this time.
Oh, are you gonna try a third time? You can try a third time.
I'm going to try a third time.
Okay.
You're trying a third time.
He's trying a third time. Roll up a third one. So you've spent he spent spell slots twice and ingredients twice, and he feels like he's gonna get it. So he's gotta do it. Like now he's all in. What do you?
I rolled another 19, so that's 26.
Okay. So 26 and 27. Finally, this thing starts kicking into high gear, and
This time I got a 25.
all right. You
I think. Yeah, that's a 16.
okay. You start feeding your magic into it, and you see as you do so that the color of the fluid changes as it's passing by where you're feeding the magic in. And then as it hits the vial and begins to fill, it changes again to this dark maroon, and you can kind of almost feel like a little bit of that natural energy, that primal energy, kind of radiating off of it as it goes in there. You kind of, just as a check first, you waft it under your nose a bit, and your eyes water. It's got that same spicy kick that the other one did. You can tell from the smell, Vendar, but you know also, just intuitively, there's something else to this, a little bit more in there. Are you going to taste test it?
I'll take a little sip.
Okay. What did you make, Jebel?
This is a -6 intelligence.
And that lasts for...
Are you trying to kill him?
And this lasts for an hour? Or a minute, I thought. It's gonna last the same amount of time as the plus.
I know, but it's like I'm hoping he doesn't drink the whole thing.
I mean, these are...
Just took a little sip.
Took a little sip. So
You better take it away from him, because if he gets stupid, he might drink the whole thing.
it tastes so good. You want to put this on nachos.
Oh.
What is that?
It also occurs to you, what are nachos?
Yeah, 1 minute.
Wants to invent nachos. So yeah, you feel like your brain just got run over by a horse. You suddenly, ideas are just slipping away from you. Entire concepts are becoming harder to grasp. Even, Jebel in front of you asking for things. You can't really seem to hold on to the moment.
This tastes good.
I snatched it off him.
Well, it took a few tries, but that seems like a success, Dr. Jebel.
Dr. Jebel.
I'm gonna wait until he's better. And I'm gonna hand it back to him.
Start wandering towards the edge of the platform.
Oh, goodness. Alright, so you're going to be trying to keep this man who is twice your size from accidentally offing himself as he's going through a momentary stupor.
I just have to say this to piss Tristan off. It's Dr. Jebel and Mr. Hyde, because Vendar hides.
I was trying to think of a good Mr. but you're right. It was already perfect.
Credit where it's due, but fuck you, Alex. It was a really good one. Fuck. Okay. So... Yeah. This seems to go on for,
Does the handbook have anything that tells you like what it means to be at certain levels of like intelligence or?
Mostly it just says that like 9 to 11 is average, human average, and then below that is less, and 0 is dead in most cases.
I think somewhere in like Monster 6 or somewhere obscure, it's like under 3 or 4 is when you're not capable of speech anymore.
So what did this knock
dumb
you?
to understand language.
What did this knock you down to, Vendar?
6.
6. Alright, you're still capable of speech, you're still capable of thought, just, it's really tough. Like, all of the higher concepts that you were used to contemplating, just aren't there. They're just out of your reach at this point. You are...
Like my brain turned to jam.
it's really hard to hold on to any of these ideas. You find yourself very much distracted by whatever's in the moment with you. So this would be Squeakers on your shoulder, who seems, to Jebel, the Squeaker seems concerned, and is checking on Vendar. Vendar, you see this cute animal on your shoulder who really needs a belly rub.
I start giving him belly rubs.
He seems to try to escape it, but he also seems to like it. So yeah, I think that he stays that way, about 30-45 seconds, before you start to feel your, mind, clearing. The haze lifting, the speed returning.
Yeah, I actually had something like that happen to me once. I had like just a moment of like just could not concentrate on stuff. It's really it's unpleasant.
Yeah, it's jarring. It's bad. You find that Squeakers is in your hand and struggling to get out of your hands. Like you don't know why you have him tangled up like this.
I'll give him a little skin stretch and then put him back on my shoulder.
He seems put out at first. Like you can hear him chittering at you, and for a little bit it just remains like little angry squeaks. Before finally your mind, the gears really start turning again, and you catch up, and you realize that he's giving you a lecture on not drinking strange fluids without warning or knowing what they do.
I had to test it. Otherwise we wouldn't know if it worked.
He just counters with, "We'll make the person who invented it test it."
Well, we both invented it. Give him all the credit.
What if it had killed you?
It wasn't gonna kill me.
And when it's made right, it won't kill you, supposedly, but it's never been made before.
It's fine.
Yeah, but
Squeaker
Yeah.
seems unconvinced and just sort of like huddles up facing away from you with like that "don't talk to me, I Angie."
I'll make Jebel try it next time.
Don't talk to me, I Angie.
make Tatsia try it.
Oh, now we're getting into the ethics of
Todd's
human
gonna
testing.
try it.
Alright, so, congratulations. That takes you to just about the end of your time right there, since you had to attempt it 3 times. We'll skip to Sam, and then I'll go to Yukikaze, I think.
Yeah, I will say that I'm gonna have to leave soon, as I told you about. So if there is anything you want to do with Cyrus, you might want to bump me up the list. I got about
Right.
20 minutes.
Remind me. Cyrus's goals. Wanted to talk
Practicing what he can of
Right.
wizardry.
Okay.
If Sam's available, well, not Sam, Armidas is available, maybe ask for some more instruction.
Yeah.
But also just kind of taking in the views, trying to remember what the places look like, see if any place seems familiar.
Okay. Your mom's gonna be pretty hogging of your time, especially since she knows that they're just sort of dumping you off and fucking off. So, I don't know. It takes 5 minutes to talk to Nalia, and then your mom's going to want to talk to you a bit. Are you going to make yourself available for any lesson if you're asked for it, or are you going to spend this time with your mom?
I think he'll prefer to spend the time with his mother.
So, Larmentis is not going to be available, so you are able to go over the stuff that you were taught, practice it, try and, memorize it, get a better feel for the stuff. It's all, that lesson was pretty surface level, pretty basic stuff, but, at least getting into the fundamentals of, how wizards view the world and magic and its interactions. So,
Laraminus can let you borrow his book. And open it up to early on notes and things from the university. So you will have that with you since he can't be available.
Interesting book.
No, but I didn't expect him to ever let anybody else touch that book.
He's already let one other person touch it.
He let Nalia take it. he let Leah take it too. Leah borrowed it to read some stuff.
Yeah, I understand Nalia. He's his bitch. He's her bitch. So.
No. He's hers.
That's what he said.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's
what he corrected to. Anyway.
Okay, I missed that then, my bad.
Sure. So, I don't know. How's Cyrus at book learning versus having an instructor? I'm always better with an instructor, personally.
Yeah, I'm gonna just mod it off of myself in this case. I mean, he can learn from a book, but it's going to take significantly longer if there's not someone to at least ask questions of.
Okay. Say you have access to it for the rest of the time. Call it a few hours. I think that all of that time, since you're without an instructor other than the book, and you have to kind of go through it and teach yourself out of it, we'll call that 1 1-hour lesson.
Alright, sounds good.
So you're at 2.
Figure he's trying to mostly go over any type of cantrip, maybe trying to just focus on a particular cantrip, like Mage Hand or something like that, something simple that won't blow up the house.
Everything has the potential to blow up the house if you do it wrong.
True.
Mage
Some things do if you do it
that
right.
wasn't supposed to happen.
Huh, that's new.
I know this place like the back of my mage hand. Wait, I can't see my shit.
Unfortunately, I'm an arcane trickster, and my mage hand is invisible.
So be invisible by choice. You can make it not invisible.
So yeah, you struggle with this book, but you do have this active desire to be good at this. So you put yourself to it, apply yourself, and try to get as much out of it as you can, trying to understand the world through Lair's eyes, as this is written in Halfling. You can read it easily.
Yay!
And it seems to, again, as I said, lay out the fundamentals of how the mages view the world, the magic, its interactions with the world, and their interactions with it. The idea of shaping the chaos with your will, all of these kinds of things that are honestly alien to the way you interface with magic, since it is something that comes from you. And while your will still gives it shape, you've never thought of it as shaping chaos. It has just always been taking power from within and directing it.
Yeah, not so much shaping, more just kind of
Pointing a fire
nudging
hose.
it in a few directions, just kind of nudging it in a few directions and then giving it a release.
Yeah. Maybe, depending on the spell, building it up a bit and then sending it out.
Yeah, that's generally how I've always viewed it, as he's brimming with power. His only way the only way a sorcerer can typically use it is just by kind of funneling it a particular direction.
Open the valve and hope things go okay. So this is
Yeah,
very different. This describes the world as seen by a person who has to, with effort, reach out and take the magic from the world by force. Whereas you, on some levels, almost feel cursed with this power that, while it is yours, you have to get rid of it in order to protect yourself and the people around you. It's a wholly different worldview.
One, it's something to be on one side, it's something to be acquired. On the other, it's something to be rid of. Even if getting rid of it's useful.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's always great to be able to turn something like that, what one might consider a weakness, into a strength. That you have to shed this magic or else potentially die. but you can then direct the magic into, as you say, useful things on its way out, thereby both saving your life from dying by magic and saving your life by something else, maybe a dragon, who knows. So, this is what you are diving into and trying to understand, because you realize that in order to do this, in order to take on this, to use magic in this way, you have to understand how they think about it, how they live by it. And one thing that does keep coming up are how the magic exists within the world, and how the mage, the wizard in this case, pulls at it, infuses his will, directs it. Here's her there. You see a lot of swirling motions, a lot of circular motions, a lot of spiral motions about the energy, about the mage, about the somatic components of things. And you feel this tapping at the back of your mind.
All right.
So,
Like, have as an idea of something to take note of, or is it something more specific in regards to like the tapping?
definitely take note. I meant that it is hearkening you back to a lived experience of your character. That of going to a person about the spiral tower and them telling you that you must make you a spiral. You feel like this is not unrelated.
Yep, I have some ideas to try next time, but I assume this is kind of something that starts to come up near the end of the lesson due to being bad with books.
And also just handed somebody's notes and said good luck, essentially.
It's college all over again. I hate it.
But also, they were explicit about making you a spiral. This book is not explicit about how this spiral, any of these swirls of how magic is drawn, directed, organized, makes any reference to that which you're looking for. You're just drawing these connections. Okay?
Yep.
Okay.
I have some ideas that I'll probably go over with you once I'm back.
Okay. Then, I think that's it, yes?
Yep, that's it for me.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'll probably be gone before you get back to general stuff.
Sam.
Yes.
Everyone scatters off to the different corners of the house that they wish to inhabit. You hand off your book to Cyrus, who really, really wants to study more magic, but you know that your time with your parents is limited. That you might see them again in the future, but you don't know when that'll be, given the events that are unfolding. And so, you follow your mother upstairs back to the room in which you lived for 100 and some years. Your personal room filled with your personal effects, whatever those may have been. I imagine some paraphernalia of arcane magic, a couple maybe fond, maybe not so fond reminders of your particular jobs within the circus.
And a lot of things from different places that they had gone to in the Feywild.
Mementos.
Which At first, the glance of somebody who's not used to the Feywild might not recognize that they're all from different places, but
But as an inhabitant.
yeah.
Yes. Very good.
Would Lyra Mendes have lewd pictures of books?
Yeah, with
You
the
mean like
pages
without
open
the
and
jackets
everything.
on?
God.
Like very particular, yeah, without the cover on.
No.
You step into the room, your mom following after, Ash bobbing between the two. I imagine you... Actually, I don't know. You tell me. Stand, sit on the bed. What do you want to do?
I think he'll sit on the bed.
Okay. Then your mother will also sit on the bed. Not exactly certain if she should be close or far or where she should be.
Wherever, you know.
Yeah, I think he doesn't seem to like. He is not trying to get her to be closer or farther.
She goes over to sit down. She sits down
perfectly.
she sits down right next to you, like thigh touching yours, and then she kind of thinks about it and she scoots a bit away, and then she, non-verbally is pointing at herself, pointing at the space between you, with the squinty eyes, where exactly? What's gonna happen?
Ash will be in front of us. I gesture at about vaguely where it would be reasonable for him to be, and he will take on the form from about this point. I gesture at myself up of the person who we're speaking with. They will see a similar thing of whoever is the focus of the attention, which will begin with me, but I will pass on the focus to you when I introduce you. So let's hope that she's not busy.
She seems excited and nervous.
Ash, would you connect us?
Of course, Scholar. Give me a moment. I will remind the Scholar that this is a call being made across planes, so there might be some interference.
That's understandable.
Again, as you've seen before, Ash hovers before you. His light seems to dim as the motes of energy seem to draw in and become fine lettering in Celestial, and it swirls around him, certain letters glowing brighter before it expands out into a bright golden glow and a sort of a potato-shaped blob that, over the course of several seconds, forms into the head and shoulders of Nalia. And she is staring ahead for a moment before you kind of see, that little crease between her brows appears, and she says, you can hear just a bit of tinniness in the voice as it comes through, and some scratching at the edges of words, but you feel like the messages, what she's saying is mostly here, but there is this distance that you can feel that you're normally unaware of. It kind of reminds you of when you cast it within the Sanctum, only that was losing multiple words.
Yeah.
This, you pretty much aren't noticing any. And she seems to squint at you a moment, and you hear, Blair, I wasn't expecting to hear from you.
I hope that now is an all right time. We're very soon to be going into a area of the Feywild that I feel like I should have all of my spell slots about me, so I couldn't try and coordinate beforehand.
Ah, I understand. Well, She seems to, you see the head kind of turning a bit as though she's looking about herself. Says, I always have time for you, dear.
Before going any farther, I was asked, what's the date there?
She, again, that squint of confusion, of that same, like, why question on her face, before she says, it's the 11th. Why?
Vendar has a wedding to go to on Sam does not remember the date.
12th.
The 12th. He has a wedding to go to tomorrow in Aspara and wanted to know if he had already missed it.
Mazel tov.
His sister, apparently. I'm sure they are very happy together. I'm
sure she has great taste in men.
Hopefully. But I had promised that I would make an introduction. So meet my mother.
You see that she seemed to be, like, focusing a little bit away from you for a moment, and then there's just this, like, stop as her eyes come back up wide. And she looks back over towards you. Says, I thought you meant introduce someone to Vendar's sister.
Oh, I don't think that an introduction needs to be made over there.
I didn't know why you were telling me about it. She immediately, like, starts, like, arranging herself. You see her, like, hands come up and begin, like, smoothing down the hair around her face. And you notice that your mother is doing likewise. And Ash, seems to shimmy a little bit closer to your mother, like, not, like, closer, but, like, this gap between you, he seems to be passing over toward your mother, so that you have a better visual indication of who is the focus.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Nalia, kind of, like, tip back a bit, clearly trying to compose herself, and surprised to see a face other than yours. Which you imagine she is at this point. And she says, hello! Hi! I'm Nalia, and I've known Blair for a long time. You kind of, like, see that she's, like, trying to turn, hoping that, like, you'll reappear or something, but it doesn't happen.
Looks the other way from me.
Yeah. Just, like, looking around, like, how do I make this thing do? Your mother, finally finishes, straightening everything, correcting her glasses, and says, well, dear, it's a pleasure to meet you. You can call me Ma. And you immediately see again, like, Nalia's eyes, like, widening as she clearly wasn't expecting this accent. Please don't make me talk to myself.
I figured that this conversation could mostly be like we can just sort of skip over the you needing to talk to yourself and perhaps sum up what happens, just because it's weird to talk to oneself. But I imagine most of the conversation is going to be between the two of them.
There is this
every once in a while, but
awkward introductory phase. Nalia you know her very well, so you can tell that she is put out. She does not like that you have dumped this on her without any...
I wanted to be able to warn her I didn't have the spell slots.
Yeah, she understands that from a logistical standpoint, but, that little vein at her temple, yeah, it doesn't care. But after, a minute and a half of them exchanging these pleasantries and just sort of like trying to feel out a situation that neither of them has any comfort in, just because they weren't expecting to meet such an important person in the life of their mutual acquaintance, their mutual friend, their mutual son. And the fact that it's not even physical, like they're not in the same room, it might not even be the same time of day. You didn't bother to ask when it was for her. They seem to grow a little bit warmer, a little bit more comfortable after this initial awkwardness. And begin, as Ma begins to expound on, all the things she feels like she's missed in her son's life in the 200 years you've been gone. And this seems to be something that Nalia immediately latches onto as a place where she can, commiserate, can soothe, can understand. And they are soon deep into stories of, moments that they've shared and the long gaps between with you, and finding the similarities in their experiences with you and your mannerisms and your quirks and your hiccups here and there. It does become quite embarrassing and extremely personal. You wish you weren't in the room. And they are just having a good laugh over a story that they had related, due to your a mishap due to your focus on your work, that they both could understand and relate to, knowing you, and are having a good laugh. And you see that Nalia draws a breath to add another thing, and the image blanks out, and there's just the stone of Ash with his unique symbol there for a moment, before the motes of light appear around him again, and he hovers back over to your shoulder, before turning his core toward your mother and saying, "I am sorry, Mrs. Mendes, but there is a time limit, and it has expired." And you see that your mother brings up a hand and wipes it at her eye, pulling away a tear, as she, steadies her breathing again from laughing, and says, "Oh, dear, no, that's quite all right. I certainly didn't expect more, or even this much. Thank you for connecting us, Ash." Ash rattles off, "You're welcome," and then goes back to his usual silent self. And there's a comfortable silence in the room for a moment as your mother kind of collects herself, before she kind of turns partly to you, 3/4 turn towards you, kind of looking at you at the corner of the eyes, says, "Well, I think you found a good woman, son."
She is a wonderful person.
She reminds me of me. Not circus performer, but she cares for you. She worries for you. And that's what's important to me.
Larmandus will nod.
We keep a mighty full house here while you're gone.
I'm glad to see so many new faces.
It's always the emptier for your absence. And no, you got your important business you need to attend to, and I am trying to be alright with that. We don't want any more mean locks. But if there's any other way you can solve this thing than putting yourself in harm's way, I hope you'll do it.
I'll make sure that we've done as much research as we can to figure out the safest course of action.
She nods, understanding, even though you're not entirely sure she's internalizing everything you're saying. And says, I don't have to remind you that you're my favorite son, do I?
I mean, it is nice to hear sometimes.
I think
he does laugh as he's saying that. I don't know if my laugh transmitted.
Didn't, which was weird.
Okay, yeah. So he says that while, like, smiling and laughing, like twinkle in the eye kind of thing.
She, her expression becomes dolorous again for a moment, as she seems to be caught in a thought, or she kind of sighs to herself and says, I think your sister would have liked her too.
I think so.
Sorry. I just realized I needed to go find another piece of information. And I didn't pin this information because I'm dumb. There it is.
Looking at the names.
Yep, I did.
I don't remember what they were either.
Wow, good job.
Like, this was all of, 2 weeks ago.
It was entirely about 20 days ago. She kind of seems to gray her face a bit as she's sitting there next to you. Says, I miss having Lithian with me. I always felt that she was a better judge of character than I am. I used to tell her I think if I'd had her around when I was younger, I would have been smarter than to end up with your father. Used to make her laugh. She'd remind me that if that were the case, then she wouldn't have been there at all. You still keep her safe, right? Your sister?
Not a day goes by.
She closes her eyes and nods.
Actually, when he says that, he reaches for where he usually keeps the book.
I figured.
and it's not there. And there's a brief moment of panic until he realizes what he had done, and then he very clearly calms down again. But
not a day goes by. The humans, they always say that time heals all wounds. But I think that perhaps when your relationship with time is as distant as ours, you never really get the chance to close some of the cuts. I suppose, in that way, I envy the smaller races. Just a touch. And she brings her hand up, kind of without looking, and it eventually finds your cheek, kind of, like, roughly, because she wasn't looking. And that moment of it colliding with the side of your face, she kind of seems to snap herself back a bit. And she looks over and kind of takes a firmer hold on the side of your face. Looking into your eyes, and says, I'm sorry, I've been doing a lot of apologizing, but I didn't mean to make... Thank you for giving me a chance to talk to Nalia. I'm glad you're happy, and that she makes you happy.
I'm glad that you were able to meet her, albeit briefly, and hopefully when everything is all said and done, we can find some time to come and visit the Feywild.
She nods. Says, I think that I only got all mopey like this because I only have your father to talk to about these things normally. Some of the cousins have been around long enough, but most of the rest, there just isn't anyone else who understands. And so I didn't mean to put that on you, but I just need to be sad sometimes.
It is nice to have somebody to talk to about her. It's been a while.
We'll soon get to this place you're going to. Your Fae you need to talk to.
I would like to spend as little time as possible talking to the Fae there, and if we had my way, we would find Raiken and immediately teleport away. We'll see if I can convince the others of that.
She kind of smiles crookedly a moment. Says, I treated their wounds the other day. It seems to me that things rarely go the way you want them. But they're rough, they're loud, and they're dangerous. But they do seem to be keeping you safe. So, I suppose I can't hold too hard a grudge. They're your friends. She seems to almost ask.
We have been through a surprising amount in a terrifyingly short amount of time, and he will be nodding as he says that. To be more definitively answering her question, or the implied question.
The crooked smile kind of turns into a knowing smirk, and she pinches your cheek before drawing her hand back. She says, Leia, I am your mother. You might be able to fool the others with those fancy words, but I know you just did not answer my question and call them your friends. But whatever they are to you, I'm glad that you're all safe for now, and I hope it stays that way. I better see your father before your lizard friend talks his ear off, or vice versa. I honestly don't know. Does your lizard friend have ears?
I mean,
Ones that can
guess-
fall off, I mean.
I mean, there would be scales over where the ears would be, which I suppose could fall off. It would be the same kind of thing.
She's going to place her hands on her knees and push herself back to standing. And sigh long before saying, "Thank you for coming to visit and spending this time with me. I know that it was a lot of just convenience because we could get you where you need to go. But I've missed you, and I know that you have made some accommodations with your friends to make all this happen, so."
I'm very glad that things worked out so that we could travel together again. It's been nice to be home.
She smiled. And you can see that tears are starting to come to her eyes now. She says, voice breaking as she takes a step closer. "You know I love you, right?"
Love you too. And he'll hug her, because it seems, reasonable.
"You just gone so long, I was worried that we'd done something wrong."
Things got busy on the material plane, and then travel would have been difficult. But I'm in a much more powerful position now, uh, in terms of being able to go to different places. So, and to properly keep in touch. So I don't think it will be anywhere near as long.
Better not
Uh,
be. And you better invite us to the wedding.
I don't think I would have much choice.
I know how hard it is to get word to us here in the Feywild, and I don't want you finding any excuses not to do it.
With Ash and my other magic, it is now much easier for me to be more direct about it. So I will tell you now that no matter what excuse I come up with, I don't have one.
I have created a routine that will remind me to have the scholar contact you once plans start getting made for this matrimony, Ash says helpfully.
Look up. That's convenient.
I have many useful functions, scholar.
Out of character. I'm now just imagining, though, like, planning being underway and Ash deciding it's been too long and just calling immediately.
You just start hearing your mother's voice. Confused about why this was happening. Okay.
Everybody gather around, and I'm just like, oh no.
Group photo. Alright. Anything else you wanted to say to your mother?
I think that's probably pretty good. Laramentus would go down with her, and I imagine more just chatting and things. But I think that was a reasonable place to end the in-character discussions like that.
Alex is just upset that I didn't have a conversation with myself in 2 different voices.
I don't have a problem with it.
Alright, Malachi.
Who's that?
That's you.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So, everybody
No.
moseys off to different parts of the house away from you. You're now the only one down here in the dining area with the...
My name's Yuki Kaze, thank you very much.
Alright, Yuki Kaze.
Yes.
You are here alone with Papa Mendes as everybody else has drifted away up the ladder. And he is seated on this bench in front of, again, this portal in the front of the house, able to pull on these reins that go to the Myces. He seems to be looking about, out the side windows, normal house windows that he is using like car windows to see what's around them. And looking over the Myces at the front to try and gauge where they are. You can see at this point that you are beginning to head downhill, perhaps down off of that plateau you were on into the lowlands, so that you can turn east toward the city. Toward that building you saw from atop the cliff. He seems to not be paying attention to your presence at first. Would you like to address him?
So, Papa Mendes, how's it going?
he seems quite surprised that anybody addresses him, and you kind of see him jump a bit and accidentally pull on the reins, and the whole house kind of shudders like just a little as it, as the Myces stop moving for a second, and he kind of hastily corrects, and everything starts moving normally again. So, I didn't realize that you were hanging back with me. Thought you'd left with your friends. Is there something I can help you with? Tall, strapping lizard man.
Well, being that you've been guiding your house through the Feywild, I have always wanted to, since I've always been not been strong with magic, I always like to be knowledgeable about environments and terrain so that I can be a more proficient fighter. And with you, like I said, with you guiding the house through this area, I figured you have a pretty decent knowledge of things.
Ah, I see. I was wondering what the point you were coming to was. You want to pick my brain about some of the things outside these here walls?
Yes.
Well, I suppose I have spent only a few 100 years around these things. I can perhaps answer some of your burning questions. I could use the company anyway. Nobody swings by to talk to me when I'm driving the house. Everybody wants to talk to Ma, though, on her shifts.
It's probably because she cooks such good food.
Oh, yeah, she cooks the good meals, she drives the interesting roads, everything. All them things. Anyway, please, ask your question.
So I see whatever their names of the horses. This is the most, I don't remember if I read up anything about like common travel animals.
In the Feywild, you got
Yeah.
a few options. These here are my favorite because they're very docile. You can control them pretty easily, and they're really hard to kill by accident. We call them mices. They are like your horses on the material plane. We get one of those or two through here every now and then, so I've seen them. They don't tend to like the Feywild. It doesn't seem to me that horses are a way to go through an uneven, forest-floored place such as the Feywild. These, they are... well, they are mushrooms, son.
How do you feed them then? Because usually mushrooms digest things over a long period of time on rotting or decaying objects.
In fact, that is true. And that is how they feed themselves as well. It makes them very affordable, but the upfront costs are a lot because they know you're getting a good amount out of these. They actually feed off the ground through their feet. Pulling up decaying, dying material and then digesting it over a period of I don't know how long, but I don't have to feed them, and that's what I care about.
Do people directly mount them, or only pulling carriages and stuff?
Oh, you could ride one if you wanted to. I just find that hitching them up to the old house here makes it so I can take a lot more people, a lot more places.
I get that. Now, when traveling, you know how you saw that barrier. Is there any environmental things that kind of hint to something storm-related or something that might be coming?
Well, he kind of, draws his hand over the porthole. You can kind of see the trees and the sky a bit through it. As you can see here, these lights, right, floating around beneath the treetops.
Okay.
Well, that's magic, right? And what it does is it just kind of floats on air currents. You know, like, what have you got in the material plane? A pollen. Like pollen for the plants, right? Just sort of floats.
Okay.
And so, when a storm comes, you know, I'm sure you got storms too. Rain, thunder, wind, the like. Air changes, and you can see the motes, the magical lights, moving in a different way. They get blown, pulled, tossed every which way when something like that starts to happen. That usually gives you a good 10-15 minutes warning.
About 10-15 minutes, okay.
Sometimes less, but usually about that. As the thunderhead begins to form, the pressure changes, rain starts to fall.
Any other, big dangerous things that are big hints that you know of?
Oh, plenty. You hear a growling, a rumbling, a stomping, or anybody speaking to you in Sylvan. Those are all good warnings that bad shit's about to happen.
Oh, so if I hear anyone talking Sylvan, it's probably not good.
A lot of the Fae use Sylvan as their language of choice. Some use Elven. Hell, I've heard a couple speaking the common tongue, like we are now, I imagine. Do you speak Elven?
I do.
Would you speak Elven with him?
If he started... Oh, well, I would have addressed him in common, and if he continued the conversation in common, I would have just continued with that.
Okay, yeah, you would have. If you addressed him in common, he would have continued in common. He has realized that not all of your group speaks Elven, so he doesn't know which is which. Just like I don't. So
I probably feel he'd be a little surprised if I did.
It's his native tongue. He's always more comfortable talking it. But in any event, some of them, you learn to use the common tongue. Well, common to your plane. Anyway, I would call Elven common, but you know what I mean.
Is there any areas that you know of offhand that are absolute big no-goes, period, absolutely not?
Well, pretty much that's how I feel about all of the Fey domains. but their border's a little floaty, so you either avoid them completely, or you just tread careful. Which is what we've been doing, which is why I kept you all around, because if we got into any trouble there, we were gonna have to fight our way out, which is what you did. So I would say that it was a good job we brought you with us for that. Of course, we wouldn't have been doing it if you hadn't needed us to, so I guess it's broken even, hasn't it?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, either way, everyone's still alive and no one's been spirited away, so I suppose I can't complain. Wagon's still in working order, and perhaps we can find some work once we get to the other side that we might not have taken otherwise. So, I'm trying to look at it as a net gain, and it'll stay that way until I start losing people to a Fae. So you make sure that doesn't happen, and everything squaresies between us.
Okay.
But yes, I would say that the top of my list of places you should not go would be Fae domains. Unfortunately, this fool has just been asked to take you to a Fae domain.
Yeah, but other than the Fate Domain, is there any other ones that are pretty risky?
Well, I think you'll know it once you step into the middle of an owlbear nest, but I would not step into the middle of an owlbear nest if I could avoid it. They don't
Okay.
take kindly to that. Yeah, sometimes easy to spot. If the owl bears the little bearlets have hatched, pretty easy to realize when you're walking in one, because they're big and they spread out and they smell bad. But if they are still just guarding a nest full of eggs, then you're looking at maybe 2 owl bears, so you could accidentally happen upon one of them. And it
Okay.
usually doesn't end pretty. Besides that, there were the meanlocks, which you fought earlier. That's all about, despair, fear, that kind of thing. So avoid those kind of passions. Actually, probably avoid all the passions, because this is a place that feeds on those things. Just try and be mellow. Go with the flow.
Yeah, that was those things are kind of interesting.
Yeah, terrifying is what they are, and they can tear a man to shreds before you can snap your fingers. So I'm still rather in awe of the fact that you all came back out of that hole.
So then, yeah, I think nothing other major pressing to ask.
Oh, don't walk off any cliffs. The gravity we're here works just like in the material plane. You'll still fall to your death.
Speaking,
It just might happen slower or faster. I don't know.
here's a question for you. We were talking about time flow. Is there really any way to know or feel the flow of time here, or is it kind of just for us gonna be a crapshoot?
Well, I kind of thought that it might only affect pockets, perhaps, spots, that you'd experience things the same rate as the rest of us in this house. But it seems that it's more than just location. This is a bit I guess my educated son would tell you it's biology. There's just, you've never been here before. You haven't had to deal with this, and so your body doesn't know what to do with it when it happens. And so...
Well, this place is mainly magic. We probably say it's the ambient magic infusing with our body.
He stares at you, like he turns away from the mices and just sort of stares at you. The whole place kind of creaks on, continuing to roll over the loam. Says, maybe? I don't really understand that much about magic, other than that it keeps this place working. We don't breathe when we go through portals, doorways. And that my son can create fire and lightning, probably. I hadn't really asked. He can create fire and lightning, right?
He likes to do ice a lot.
Ice.
Yeah, he uses this spell called was it freeze ray?
Ray of
No.
Frost.
Ray of Frost. He likes to use this spell called Ray of Frost a lot.
Huh. Cool drinks with it? Well, I could go for a cool drink.
I don't know about that.
Sorry. Sound like we were about to say Ray of Frogs.
Ray
And
of Frogs.
I really want an ability called Ray of Frogs.
You are hit by D4 frogs.
Perfect.
The range is 20 feet.
1 in 10 chance that one of the frogs is poisonous.
And also has splash damage of -1.
Goodness gracious. He does seem to kind of draw away from the conversation, seeming to pull into his own thoughts as he is now clearly thinking about Laramendus.
Do I?
I mean, he's still sitting there. Like, he didn't physically move away from you. He seems to be paying less attention and focusing more on whatever is going on inside his head. You know that the last thing he asked you about was, what kind of magic Lara could do.
And I will say it's like you're drifting off, Oddity. You want me to go?
No, you're... Why don't you tell me some more about it, actually? The magic that he does.
I really don't know magic too intensively, and a lot of the stuff he does is kind of just like I see the effects. Well, did we regale our adventures so far to the whole family?
A few of them, yeah.
If you want, Pa, I could tell you a few of the other things that we haven't gone over of the stuff we've done if you're interested.
It almost sounds like his throat kind of becomes more dry as he starts to... I just, yeah, I'd like to hear more about my lair.
Well, I also don't want to seems like you, cause you any concern, because, you know.
Nah, boy can handle himself, apparently. Got through that fancy school, made some ice, got himself a girlfriend. I'm not concerned for him.
He's always very capable, and he always loves his escape plan Delta too. So
he's never called it that in front of anyone. He's only done it once.
Well, was I around for hearing that? You think?
It was.
Yuki was in the party when Yuki was in the party when he initiated Escape Plan Delta, but he has never spoken in character of Escape Plan Delta. All of his talks about it were out of character.
Sorry, that's why sometimes when
so he just grabbed her and disappeared, and nobody knew why.
Okay,
nobody knew that was his plan.
Okay, so sorry. When we get on the tangents, it's sometimes hard to differentiate.
Yeah, no, that's entirely fair.
Yeah.
If it was not, if the name of it wasn't so out of character, that would be perfectly fine. But just it's a really, that's not the kind of thing that Laramendus would do.
He wouldn't call it Escape Plan Delta.
All right, so
he would call it contingency because then he could tell people he was talking about a spell.
I'll state that Laramendus has a lot of tools in his repertoire to keep himself protect it, and he's been a great help to the party. And then I'll tell Papa Mendes about some of our exploits that weren't covered, and just try to have a positive, friendly conversation with him beyond the questions I asked.
Alrighty. Yeah, he kind of nods along, smiling at times, looking back to make eye contact during certain parts of the story. That's good. Good. I'm glad to hear that my boys made good use of that education. You always wonder when you have children. Done a good job raising them, done the right things, taught them the right things. And sometimes you just feel like you're not sure, you don't know. And that, I'd say, is doubly true when we take off for a couple 100 years. You start to think maybe you'd messed up. Maybe you hadn't. Maybe you hadn't done a good enough job. But,
Well, in my honest opinion, as long as I've known Blair, he's a very calculated person, but I feel that he's definitely a good person.
Can he juggle?
I have not seen him juggle, I'm sorry.
Can you make a pyramid with him?
Make a pyramid with him.
On the shoulders.
I could see some uses for that, but we haven't had any strategic use for something like that.
Alright, so I did a terrible job raising him, and he can't do any circusing, even 200 years later. Fine.
Well, he's very schooled, so, he could have, doesn't circusing take a lot of, math and a little bit of acrobatics, balancing, and, proper weight distribution? Never seen him fall over, so...
What's circusing got to do with numbers, other than how many people you can get into a pyramid?
Well, don't you have to worry about positioning, angles of each person's body, like where they're sitting?
Intuition, he says, tapping his temple. Math. He spits the word math back at you.
Maybe you helped him build his intuition. I haven't really super focused on his intuition to know if he's very intuitive.
Math. Well, anyway, thank you for sharing the stories with me. He hasn't exactly been around to tell us his stories. Oh, look, we're here. And, we'll come back on that next week. So, we'll call it there. Everybody take 1100 XP.
You take 1100 EXP.
I will take 1100 EXP.
Unfortunately, that means that the boss just dinged. And,
Ding goes the boss.
You hear the level up sound deep in the dungeon. How was that?
a massive bell just tolls. I'm just like, shit.
You hear the beginning of the Mortal Kombat theme. Alright, so 1100 XP for everybody. Good job. That was really fun, actually. I'm glad everybody got to do their little things there. And this way, if we never get to see the Mendises again. You've all gotten what you wanted out of this experience. I think that next week we will be in Tailspire, because I, long ago, did make Autumn's Elegy in Tailspire. So that'll be fun.
You did?
Yeah. Shut up. Alright.
I'm guessing Alex helped you.
No, I actually did not help him. So I'm not taking any credit.
That would have been more amusing, Alex. Come on.
I just know that he made it because I have been in it.
Oh, okay.
Raiken's there. Or was there.
Yeah.
Or has seen it. Or, like, knows about
Hopefully
it.
he's still there.
Will
We get there and
he
we're
still
like,
be
so
there?
where's Raiken? And they're like,
Oh.
like, Dragonborn,
We already
yay
sent him back
big.
to the
he
material
just-
plane.
And they go, oh, yeah. Who?
Those trying to flip tables.
Does he fail at flipping tables?
Every
Oh,
time.
yeah, all the time.
Ah, yeah.
hardcore.
I know that guy.
Just like, oh yeah, still nothing.
Yes.
Oh, that's why all these tables are unflipped.
No.
Raiken doesn't flip tables. Tables flip Raiken.
Tables flip Raiken. Alright. Bye, stream!
Goodbye.